He pushed them, then called help, accident or something way worse.
Cold water hit me like a wall. 1 second. I was standing on the deck, my daughter in my arms, arguing with my parents. The next, I was underwater. Salt filled my mouth. My ears rang. For a split second, I didn't even understand what had happened. Then I felt her. Small hands clawing at my shirt. Mom! I kicked upward, heart slamming against my ribs, and broke through the surface gasping. Air never felt so violent, so sharp. Daisy, hold on! Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. My arms wrapped around her instantly. She coughed, crying, clinging to me as the waves rocked us. Her face was pale, terrified, her wet hair stuck to her cheeks. And then I heard it, the engine. Loud, steady, unstoppable. I turned slowly. The boat was already a few yards away, and on it, my father, Richard Canet, 58 years old, standing near the edge, looking right at us, not shouting, not reaching for a rope, just watching. Have you ever looked at someone you trust, someone who's supposed to protect you, and realized in a single moment they won't? Because that's what this was. Behind him, my mother Elaine stood frozen, her arms crossed tightly like she was holding herself together. But she didn't move either. Didn't scream, didn't help, didn't stop him. Dad, I yelled, my voice cracking as I struggled to keep Daisy above the water. What are you doing? No response. Just the hum of the engine and the slow, sickening drift of the boat moving farther away. This wasn't supposed to happen. This trip, it was meant to fix things. That's what they told me. A simple day out on the water, a chance to reconnect. But something had been wrong from the start. The silence, the questions, the way my dad kept watching me like he was measuring something. At the time, I ignored it. Now floating in open water with my 7-year-old daughter shaking in my arms, I couldn't ignore anything anymore. Mom, Daisy whispered, her voice trembling against my shoulder. Why are they leaving? I stared at the boat as it pulled farther away. And then something changed. My dad reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and what he did next made this so much worse. The craziest part, it didn't feel dangerous until it suddenly was. Looking back now, every moment before the fall feels different, sharper, heavier, like there were warnings I just refused to see. The trip had been my parents' idea. Just one day, my mom said over the phone a week earlier. No stress, no arguments, just family. When was the last time you wanted to believe something so badly you ignored everything telling you not to? Because that was me. I'm Lena Canet, 28, a single mom trying to keep life stable for my daughter Daisy. After my divorce, things were already messy. Financial stress, long work hours, constant pressure. And my dad, he never let me forget it. You're barely holding things together, he'd say. That's not a stable environment for a child. At first, I thought it was concern, but over time, it felt more like judgment. Still, Daisy loved them. She was excited about the boat trip, talking about it for days, packing her little bag like it was some big adventure. So I said yes. At the dock, everything seemed normal. My dad greeted us like nothing was wrong. My mom smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. We got on the boat, set off. And for a while, it almost felt okay. Then the question started. How are you managing rent these days? Still working those late shifts? You ever think Daisy needs more structure? Subtle, constant, like he was building a case. I laughed it off at first, deflected, changed the subject, but then he said something that made my stomach tighten. You know, he muttered, staring out at the water. Sometimes grandparents have to step in when a parent can't handle it. I froze. Excuse me? That's when the air shifted. The calm disappeared. My mom went quiet, completely silent, and my dad turned to face me, his expression no longer casual, no longer patient. "You're not giving Daisy the life she deserves," he said flatly. I felt Daisy's hand tighten in mine. "This isn't your decision," I shot back. His jaw clenched. Then he stepped closer, too close. And in a voice I'd never heard from him before, he said, "You don't get to decide that anymore." He moved. There was no hesitation, no second chance to react, just force. His hand slammed into me hard enough to knock the air out of my lungs. For a split second, my brain refused to process it. My own father just shoved me, but my body knew. I stumbled backward, instinctively pulling Daisy into my chest. My heel hit the edge of the boat, and then there was nothing beneath us. Have you ever felt that moment where time just drops out from under you? That's what it was. Weightless, silent, then impact. The water swallowed us whole. It was freezing, violent, disorienting. My grip tightened around Daisy as we sank for a second before I forced us back up. We broke the surface with a gasp. "Mom!" Daisy screamed, choking on water, clinging to me in full panic. I've got you, I shouted, even as my arms trembled from the shock. I kicked hard, trying to stabilize us, trying to keep her head above the waves. Then I looked up. The boat was still right there, close enough. This was the moment they'd stop. It had to be. "Dad!" I yelled, waving one arm desperately. "Throw something! Help us!" He didn't move. Not an inch. My mom stood beside him, her face pale, her body stiff, but she didn't step forward either. Didn't scream, didn't reach out, nothing. And then the engine roared louder. The boat jerked slightly and started moving away. "No, no!" I screamed, panic surging through me as I kicked harder, fighting the drag of the water. "Stop!" But the distance grew, slowly at first, then faster. Daisy was crying uncontrollably now, her nails digging into my skin. "Mom, I'm scared! I'm scared!" "I know, baby, I know," I said, my voice shaking despite everything. "Just hold on, don't let go." My muscles were already burning, the cold was seeping in, every second felt heavier than the last, and still, they kept going. Then something changed. My dad reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone. He stared at it for a second, calm, focused, and then he made a call. Not to us, not to help us, to someone else. And in that moment, I realized something was very, very wrong. He wasn't panicking. That's what didn't make sense. From the water, I could barely hear anything, but I could see him. Clear enough, steady, controlled. Not a man who had just watched his daughter and granddaughter fall overboard. A man executing something. Have you ever realized mid-crisis that this might not be a mistake? Because that's when it hit me. My dad lifted the phone to his ear, said something short, precise, then lowered it like the call was routine. No urgency, no emotion, and then he turned away from us, walked toward the controls. The engine roared louder. The boat surged forward, gone, just like that. For a moment, I couldn't even think. My mind just blanked. Then reality crashed back in. Open water, no land in sight, my arms barely holding on, Daisy shaking against me, her cries growing weaker, more exhausted. "Stay with me," I whispered, pressing my cheek to her wet hair. "You're okay, I've got you." But my body was starting to betray me. The cold dug deeper. My legs felt heavier, my strokes slower, every breath harder than the last. Time stretched. Minutes felt like hours. I kept scanning the horizon, left, right, over and over again, looking for anything, a boat, a buoy, something, nothing. Just endless water. Then a sound faint at first. An engine. I twisted around, squinting against the glare of the sun, and there it was. A small fishing boat in the distance. Hey! I screamed, summoning whatever strength I had left. Help! Over here! I waved one arm wildly, barely keeping us afloat. The boat shifted direction. It was coming closer. Closer. And then hands were grabbing us, pulling Daisy up first, then me. I collapsed onto the deck, gasping, my whole body shaking uncontrollably as Daisy clung to me, sobbing into my chest. We've got you, one of the men said. You're safe now. Safe. The word didn't even feel real yet. Who called it in? I managed to ask, my voice raw. The man hesitated, looked at the others, then back at me. A guy, he said slowly, reported 2 people overboard, gave exact coordinates. My stomach dropped. Exact coordinates. I turned my head toward the empty horizon where my father's boat had disappeared, and that's when it fully clicked. This wasn't about leaving us to die. He made sure we'd be found, which meant he wanted us alive. Just not with him. He didn't panic. He planned it. That truth settled in slowly, but once it did, everything else started falling into place. On the fishing boat, wrapped in a rough blanket, Daisy trembling against me, I kept replaying every second. The questions, the tension, the push, the call. It wasn't random. By the time we reached shore, authorities were already waiting. Apparently, the accident had been reported quickly, too quickly. I told them everything. Every detail, every word I could remember. And the story didn't line up. Not even close. My father claimed I slipped, said he tried to help, said panic took over and he called for rescue immediately. But the fishermen told a different story. They said the coordinates were given with precision, not something you guess in a panic. The timing didn't match either. Then came the deeper investigation. Phone records, messages, legal documents. That's when the real motive surfaced. My parents had been preparing for months, quietly consulting a lawyer, documenting my life, my job hours, my income, my divorce, building a case for custody of Daisy. And this was their final move. A staged accident. A narrative where I was careless, unfit, dangerous. But they miscalculated one thing. Me surviving. Sitting in that station, Daisy asleep beside me, her hand still tightly wrapped around mine, even in her dreams. Something shifted inside me. Not fear. Clarity. There was no repairing this, no explaining it away, no second chances. Consequence payoff. My father, Richard Kinnett, was arrested within days, charged with child endangerment, reckless conduct, and filing a false emergency report. My mother tried to claim she froze, that she didn't agree, but silence didn't save her. She was charged as an accomplice. The custody case? Destroyed instantly. Instead, restraining orders were issued, permanent. Family friends cut them off. Word spread. Their version of events collapsed under evidence. Final resolution moment. Weeks later, Daisy and I stood by the shoreline. Calm water, quiet air. She held my hand, looking out at the ocean, different now. Are they gone? She asked softly. I nodded. Yes, they are. This time, there was no doubt. And for the first time since that day, we weren't fighting to stay afloat anymore.
Would you trust them again? Or was this planned from the start? Comment below.